As the world falls away and I can't find a reason, as the world turns to gray, it's killing me unwillingly, and I am just the same as you.
All images, footage, music, songs, etc. belong to their respective owners. I don't own anything. No copyright infringement intended. This is only for review/rants purposes only. I own absolutely nothing. Hey guys, Lonely Fanboy 48 here, and this is my review of The Incredibles, since the sequel is coming out in about a few days now. The Incredibles is not only one of the best Pixar movies ever made, but one of the best superhero movies ever made. This movie has two things going on. The first half has family, while the second half has mainly superheroes involved. Blackbird put more focus on the family thing because that's what he loves about making this movie. The suburban life that happened after the superheroes got sued is one of the main focuses to show how much Bob is completely miserable. He really hates that he has to do his job right, even though that he wants to do his job his own way by becoming a superhero again. And considering the fact that he completely lost his job because he was so upset that he wasn't able to save a helpless person, really shows. It really does. And when he gets a call from Mirage, who is working with a villain, and during the action scenes, he's completely happy about himself that he was able to do what he loves to do, even though that he's completely out of shape due to his life getting in the way most of the time. He did walk out after this, but still, you pretty much know what he's been going through. And that's all I have to say about Mr. Incredible. He's a very relatable character, and you can understand the struggle that he's been going through for the beginning of this movie. And that's the villain, Syndrome, who's basically Buddy, in other words, Incredible from the beginning of the film in the glory days. You can tell that he was in a very stressful way when Mr. Incredible says, "Fly home, Buddy, I walk alone." You have no idea how painful that it really hurt the kid, especially the fact that he was a big fan of Mr. Incredible. Especially his incredible change at the second half of the film, that he's now a supervillain and his goal is to kill other superheroes so he can be the only one. And that's including Mr. Incredible. This is the kind of development that people need to take notes for inspiration. Sure, it's kind of plagiarizing, but inspiration is really important. Creating original villains is just very difficult, but when you create a villain like Syndrome, you can tell that he has a lot of development than any of the villains that Pixar has ever done. Especially with so many armor droids and inventions that he made. And it's kind of hard to believe that he managed to have his own iron with all that money he did. Which is kind of weird, but at the same time, The Incredibles is still a cartoon, so don't question it. This is the first Pixar film where the humans are the main focus of the film. So to be quite honest, it's really good to show. Humans are very difficult to animate. The only reason why DreamWorks did good in the other films is because they probably only handled one human, and the others were just extras. But here, since they're the main focus, oh my god, they probably had one painful of a time to animate the human skin on the characters, especially the clothes. And as for the score of the film, it has this jazz feeling which kind of works for this movie. I mean, when I was younger, I thought the music was completely annoying. I just don't like jazz music that much. But when I got older, I got used to it. Mostly because of how original and how it works for the movie they're in. Like, superheroes beating down bad guys, that's the jazz that can work out. And as for the family moments, in dramatic moments, it works out as well, which completely makes the movie way better with the music. This was the first movie that has no Randy Newman. You can say about Finding Nemo about Thomas Newman, but they're similar, so to be quite honest, it doesn't qualify. As for the other characters, I do relate to them. I mean, Helen is just doing the right thing by becoming a respectful parent to protect her children. Dash is just basically a show-off, but he's very hyper and stuff, which just makes him really likable. And as for Violet, people consider her one of the best characters in the film because she wants to be normal with no superpowers whatsoever. And you can understand what she's coming from. And when she does use her superpowers at the end of the film, she really likes it about herself, and I really can't wait on what they have in store in the sequel, since we see her completely enraged and her hanging out with her boyfriend. As for the other characters, namely Lucius, in other words, Frozone and Mirage, they're basically characters who helped out Mr. Incredible throughout the movie. Frozone is just basically doing the right thing by listening to the law and not break it, just like Helen. And at the same time, he's a very likable and hilarious character. And as for Mirage, she respects Mr. Incredible in a good way. I mean, when Syndrome almost killed Mr. Incredible's family, you can tell that she has a change of heart. I mean, she was never on Syndrome's side whatsoever. She really thought that she was just trying to help Mr. Incredible. But when she finds out that Syndrome was just doing this so he can kill him, you can tell that things are going to get more complicated. Seriously. Mirage is a very good character, and I don't think we're going to see her in the sequel, but if she does, she might make a cameo. And finally, we have Jack, and he doesn't appear a lot throughout the entire movie. And what we get to see in the ending will probably blow your mind if you haven't seen this movie just yet. So I'm just gonna say that he's just basically the normal human in the entire family, set by Violet. This is one of my favorite films because of how much effort they put into the animation, the character development, and the storylines, and of course the score. You can tell that Brad Bird put a lot of effort and heart into making these movies, which also explains as to why The Incredibles 2 took a very, very long time to make. And in my opinion, it's gonna be good, but it's not going to be better than the first one. I mean, the villain, the screensaver, is a great villain, considering the fact that he's original and completely out of the blue, but at the same time, they're doing the same thing like they did in the last film. Family and superhero stuff. And in my opinion, the story in this is good, but not as great as the last film, since that superheroes are still illegal in the second film, and in my opinion, The Incredibles 3 might be very, very hard to make. If there is going to be Incredibles 3 after the second one, and considering the fact that the Incredibles 2 took a long time to make, I'll guarantee you that the third one will be much more harder and longer to make. I guarantee you that a few years after The Incredibles 2, people are going to beg Pixar to make another sequel. Guarantee. Oh boy. When it comes to Pixar sequels, like I mentioned in my Bugs Life review, sometimes it can be mad, but at the same time, mostly well, considering Finding Dory and now The Incredibles 2. Anyway, I give The Incredibles a 9.5 out of 10. I recommend watching this movie before you watch the sequel in theaters.
I'm just like you, just not a